So we are going to do another tutorial, and this one is on spawn and despawn. Spawn, I've talked about a couple times in past tutorials, and that's the spawn squad or the spawn entity. Two different things. So spawn units or spawn objects like cliff, rocks, buildings, I guess, anything. So we're going to talk about these things and how I use them. A lot of visual smoke and whatever you want to call it works with the spawn and despawn, making things look like they're supposed to be there when they're not, and that kind of stuff. So let's jump right into it. So what is it I'm talking about? So we're gonna spawn. Let's just say, Oops. We're gonna spawn. We're gonna do two different things. We're gonna spawn a squad, and we're gonna spawn something else. So the squad we're gonna spawn is gonna be a tank. I'll do a Hellcat, right? So simple spawn Hellcat, right? We're gonna name it. Name it Hellcat 1. Right? So we're gonna spawn Hellcat 1. Alright? Real simple stuff. I've covered this many times. Really easy. Spawn Hellcat 1. Alright. And then what we're gonna do, sure, we'll save it. And then we're going to make another playbill. So this playbill is going to be called PB. I'm trying to give examples of what I've done in the past. Spawn Hellcat 1, right? That's what that playbill is going to be called. So we're going to do another one. Another playbill, which is going to be PB DeSpawn Hellcat 1. Okay. And we're going to do a condition on this one of unit at location greater than equal to 1. I made a tutorial on unit at location if you don't know it already. So make it a position, and we want to make it proximity. Just do 10. And again, I'm just doing this example because it's kind of the easiest way to show you how spawn and despawn work. So if P1 at location, again, display name means nothing to the game, it's just for you so you know what's going on. So if P1 is at this location, which we need to draw because you're not going to see it in the game, it's going to be just gray and you don't see that circle, right? So we have to add a texture to it. And whoops, there we go. And texture. So basically, when we walk, oh boy, that's an ugly circle. Let's try that again. So when we walk into this area, right here, if P1 at location, if player 1 enters that location, we're going to despawn. Despawn S group Hellcat 1, right? And basically what despawn does, it makes it disappear. It doesn't necessarily make it go away permanently. It just makes it disappear from the map. Like, it's just not there. And so you can bring it back later on. And the reason I say it like that, so here's a basic example, right? So spawn Hellcat. All right, next playbill is going to be despawn the Hellcat once player 1 gets into the circle. So another example that I'll use is, I'll go to this side. over here. Let's say I have either, you can do a bridge, you can do rock, you can do a whole bunch of things. Basically anything in here, so to speak. Pretty much anything in here. I used a dog as an example for one of my single player maps when you find the dog and it disappears. So there's a dog, you can make him disappear too. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do cliff rock. Oop, I did the wrong one. Wrong folder. Oop, boop, 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 boop. Remember, Playbills only work on EBPS stuff and units. They do not work on art objects, unfortunately. I've requested it, but I don't think it's going to happen. So art objects you cannot use Playbills on. Okay, really important. Oh, that's a big ugly rock. Yeah, we'll do that one. That's a cool looking rock, right? So, and the reason why, by the way, you can't use art objects is for Playbills to work, they have to have either a group name, right? Or they have to have an S group name or an E group name. They have to have some way of naming the entity, right? So when you name the entity, then you can playbill against it. The problem with art objects, give you an example, not to go off topic here, is art objects have no name. They have a display name, which means nothing. It's just for you. They have a comment, which means nothing, right? But you see there's no S group name, there's no E group name, there's no nothing, there's no group name at all. So there's no way to address this object. That's why playbills don't work on art objects. Anyways, going back to the cliff. So we got a nice pretty cliff here, right? A nice rock, or it could be a bridge, it could be whatever. You want to name it. Let's name this one Cliff Rock, right? So what's going to happen is the Cliff Rock is in the game. Now, what I want to happen is I don't want the players to ever see the Cliff Rock, right? So going back to previous tutorials, how I always start with an intro, right? And the intro tutorial is where I launch everything from. So the intro tutorial here is in the beginning, and that's the only one that has immediate. It's just a really good practice. Trust me, you'll thank me later. So intro is going to start, and the first thing I'm going to do when the match starts is DeSpawn E group, because it's not an S group and it's Cliff Rock. Okay. Of course, you can do the drop down. See, the drop down works for E group. E group is basically anything that's not a military unit. Anything in this folder, the EBTS folder. Okay, buildings, bridges, it doesn't matter. Anything in this folder is an E group, and you can call it by the group name E group, and it's going to drop down everything. So again, it's important that you name things. So if there's bridges or buildings that you're having despawn, make sure you name it right so you can find it. Okay, so cliff group, and you can destroy it too, but I use something else for that. Okay, so that's what the E group Cliff Rock. So despawn, tell myself what's going on here, right? So when the match starts, first thing that's going to happen before the players do anything is this is going to despawn, so they're not even going to see this. Okay, so the match starts, this thing's going to disappear instantly. I do this with a lot of maps, so a lot of stuff you don't even see, and then I bring it on. You can actually spawn in headquarter buildings and stuff like that too. I use it in the which one? The D-Day map, D-Day Comp Stomp Horde map. If you played that map, about halfway through the map, all of a sudden the enemy establishes bases on the beaches. That's using the spawn entity. Okay, so I basically have the entities in there. I despawn them and then I spawn them when they get to that point. So the match is going to start. Spawn. It's going to despawn the cliff. I'm going to launch my other prefabs here. Boop. Launch spawn Hellcat, right? Launch PV spawn Hellcat 1. Right. And I'm going to launch the other one. Actually, I'll wait first. You always do wait commands. It's always good to do wait commands. Good practice. Just in case there's lag or something between the players. I've had issues before when I launch too much stuff instantaneously. So you always want to kind of put a wait in. And then I'm going to launch prefab playbill and DeSpawn. Launch DeSpawn Hellcat 1. And of course, it's not going to do anything when it does that because it's looking for the condition, right, of this to be a unit in here. Okay, so once unit gets in here, it's going to despawn the Hellcat. I'll make this interesting. Move the rock over here. All right. It's going to despawn the Hellcat. Make sure I get that right. Right on the top of it. Right. And despawn the cliff. Spawn Hellcat P1. Once that happens, it's going to despawn the Hellcat. Can't talk. And then we're going to respawn. So now we got 3 spawns going on. So we have our spawn, which is bring something new into the game. We have our despawn, which is remove it from the game, but don't remove it from the game. Kind of makes sense. Remove it visually so it doesn't actually exist in the map, but it's still kind of there in the background. And then we have our respawn, which is bring it back to where it was before. So because I put the rock here, it's going to despawn in the beginning of the match. Once this condition is triggered, it's going to respawn the cliff on top of the Hellcat. The Hellcat's going to despawn. It's going to go away. That makes sense. And let's see if this works or if I miss something. Shall we? Spawn, despawn, and respawn. I use the respawn a lot. So the way I did this rock, how it despawns comes back, I use it a lot in maps, for bridges, for rocks. I use it for situations where I want a door or gate to open and close. I'll do that because you can also use the site shot blockers entity. So I'll have like a gate with a site shot blocker. I'll name it both the same thing, like gate 1, and then I create it in the map like I did with the rock. First playbill that comes in is despawn that. So despawn the gate 1, and it's going to automatically despawn those 2 things. And so when a unit goes into the building, it triggers the respawn of the gate and the blocker, so it acts like a gate. If that makes sense. So there's lots of little cool tricks. I also use it for explosions. So the playbill for explosions, I'll do a tutorial on it, but you can make it so it spawns exploding barrels and just a whole bunch of stuff and blows them up and all that kind of good stuff. So anyways, do we build? I forgot if we build or not. I think we built. Let's do it again, just to make sure. Alrighty, dunk, dunk. Let's see what's gonna happen. So we should have a Hellcat spawn right away, and that we should not see this rock. This rock should not be in the game. And let's see if I did it right. Feels like the game loads a lot slower lately. I don't know what's up with that, but that's okay. Come on, game. Here we go. All right, so we have skirmish. We're gonna pick the map, which is test spawn. I think it was test spawn respawn. Test spawn respawn. That's one. Everything looks fine. There's my little green dot that I painted, so I know where to send my troops. And then, like I said, you should see a Hellcat basically right away, and that rock should disappear right away. So there shouldn't be a rock on the map. keyword is shouldn't. I should test these before I do these videos, but it's okay. All right. Oh, you saw for a second, but yeah, well. There's no rock now. Okay? No rock, and we got our Hellcat. Which is great. Now, what I'm going to do, again, the Hellcat's still there because, remember I said despawn the Hellcat and respawn the rock, but only when the troops are in this green area. So let's see if it crashes or if it works. In the area. Oh, there's my pretty rock. My tank is gone. See, it's not there anymore. Tank gone. Rock back. So you can do like avalanches. You can do like kind of crazy stuff like that. That's a trick I used to get boats to move in one of my maps, which I don't know if I ever published that map. I had a map of a fishing boat that kind of drove around in circles. And everybody was like, how do you get the boat to move? I don't understand. I said, it's Playbill magic. And basically what it was is I had like 20 boats, fishing boats lined up in a row. And I basically despawn, spawn, despawn, spawn, despawn, spawn, despawn, spawn, one after another to make it look like it was moving around. Kind of worked. Kind of funky. But anyways. So that's basically spawn, despawn, respawn. Really cool to play with. Especially if you want to have things in your map that happen later on and you want to be able to place them in certain angles and stuff like that. It works good for like bunkers too, and you know, stuff you want to just kind of mess with the players. But you can basically spawn them anywhere. So there you go. Learn something new. Thanks for watching.